Today we're going to meet up with a snowman who's going to remind us that there is no place like home. So let's get started. With today's supply list. We have our canvas, our yellow, red, blue, black and white acrylic paint, our cup of water, our brushes, a large flat brush, a medium brush, and a small brush. Optional equipment is a pencil and an extra cup of water. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is decide where our snowman is going to be placed. And because we're going to be having wording on our canvas, we want to kind of like push it off to the side, not dead in the middle because then we have to go around it. Another option, of course, but today I'm teaching it where the snowman's living over here so that our words have a place to go over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pencil and kind of get an idea of where I want my guy. So I'm just going to pencil in a circle, okay? Get to the bottom of this. Okay, it's not a perfect circle. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. The whole idea is just to get an idea where it's going to be. If you are crazy and you want to have it where it's a perfectly round circle, you can get a plate or a bowl or something and trace around there. However, I, in my personal life, have never created a snowman that was, excuse me, equal all the way around. So that's kind of where I'm going to go with that. Also, when we have our nose, our corn, our carrots, it's going to start like in the middle here, which we don't have to worry about, and it's going to go up. So it's going to go past the edge of where our circle is. And then it's going to come back down. No need to worry about this. This is just so I'm going to paint around it with the black, okay? That's just me being a little crazy there, erasing that. You don't have to erase anything. We can paint the whole thing our dark color and then go back and put white on top of it, but this makes it just a little bit easier and just a little bit quicker. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my dark paint. And why I'm saying dark is that it's gonna look kind of black. The majority of it's gonna be black. However, I wanna put some blue into it, okay? So right now, I'm just going to take some of my black paint. I'm gonna pour it since I'm gonna need a fair amount, okay? Ordinarily, I would just use my stick. Okay, ooh, okay, lots of that, okay? And way more than I'm going to need. Then I'm going to take some blue, and it's not going to make a tremendous amount of difference, but I want to know it's there. Okay, I have to do better with the who's doing that. I'm just going to flip that up and over. Maybe next time I will use my stick as opposed to pouring, because I may have wasted a little bit, but I will use that in my next video. I'm going to put that down, and I'm going to take my large brush, and I'm sure you've heard me say in other videos, I don't say you're filbert, you're number 6, you're flat, whatever, because I don't know what brushes you have. And you know, this is the beginning of what we're doing. I don't want you to get caught up in the minutia and the tiny things. So until we get, a couple more videos under our belt, I'm just going to say your big brush. And I'm going to take some black and some blue, just like that. Okay. I'm not really mixing it. And I'm just going to cover my canvas. Okay. So it kind of has a little bit of a glint of blue there, and that's fine. If you want to get the tracing part out of the way, the circling, you can come around here and just start from your nose, the nose, just to get an idea. Okay. Also, at this point, you can decide if you want it smaller or bigger, and then you would just bring your paint in. But I'm kind of happy with the size that I put out here. Maybe I'll drag it a little around. And the reason I'm doing this is so that when we're putting our paint on, we know where to stay away from. We know to stay away from the inside here. So again, I'm still just grabbing some black and blue at the same time. You see that? Again, just to give it a little bit more interest. Now, I'm sure you know, and you notice how I'm coming from the sides. I didn't pour it on top of it. I want to be able to use this later if I need to. So I'm just going to grab here and here like that and lift it up. You'll also notice that it's not completely mixed. This is something I love to do. I want to be surprised too when I get the paint on here. So I don't mix it 100%. And I'm just going across, you know, you can go up and down, you can go across. You just want to make sure you're going in the same direction. Okay? So we're just going to get this all on here. And again, right now we're just looking to cover our canvas. You'll also know that I always paint the sides, the top, and the bottom. Okay. So if I do my top first, by the time I'm ready to do the bottom, this should be dry so I can turn it over. And the great thing about this is if you should miss some spots and the white's showing through, that's okay because we're going to put snow on it. It may be just looking like some snow. But right now I just want to get that top done and my sides. Okay. I always love doing snowmen. They're just so animated, and you can make them, you know, they can look like Frosty, they can look more natural, like with just sticks and dots, so they look like something that you may have built up outside. I was going to say in the yard, but a lot of people don't have yards. I didn't have a yard growing up. I grew up in the Bronx, and we had the best time. Oh my goodness. We made all sorts of great snowmen and forts and caves because we used to get quite a bit of snow. However, having said that, there was a time where New York City did not have a snow day for 26 years. And of course, those were the years that I was in school. And you'd be surprised. Snow up to your kneecaps. And nope, no, none of that. No school stuff. It's crazy. And a lot of us walked to school, so that was always interesting. So again, we're just getting our paint on here. And I kind of like that it has some of that blue in there. I really do. I've done this painting before where it was flat black. But each time I do a painting, I hope that it evolves. Find something new to do with it. I don't want to do the same paintings over and over. But sometimes you just find one you really like and you can just do all sorts of different versions of it. Okay. I also like, it's a quick painting. So if I have something else to do, I can start it and get it finished in a fair amount of time. It's funny, I always feel like I need to talk while I'm painting to keep you guys engaged, but I'm sure you're already engaged. If you're here, it's because you want to be, which I love. I really do love that. That had a lot of blue, nice. See, I surprised myself. Do the side of my nose. See how easy that is? Okay. Hope you're enjoying our art to go. especially with the weather getting a little bit more unhappy out there. I don't want to say seasonal. I want to say unhappy. We don't want to be out there. Now, the great thing about YouTube and the internet is once you put it on there, it's there forever. So I'm just going to let you guys know that while I'm doing this, we're in the middle of a pandemic. So if you're watching this in 2024 or 2026 or hopefully just 2022, you'll know that right now the world's a little bit crazy out there. So it's kind of nice to have something fun to do inside that you can share with your family. I always like when the whole family does the same painting because none of them look the same. I had a family of 7 in here one year for a birthday party. The child wanted to come in and do paintings, so the whole family came in. It was wonderful. But now they all do the same subject matter. I taught the same class, just like I'm teaching right now, except everyone's came out different. And that's kind of something I like. Because you're not supposed to go home with a carbon copy of what I did. I want you to go home with, or be at home being this online, your version of what we did. Okay, so while the top is drying, let me just see what the side looks like. The side could use a little love. See how I didn't get to that because I couldn't see it? So I'm just gonna zippity-doo-dah on that one. See? Perfect. And we're going to do our bottom. Again, I could have waited till the very end, but I'm gonna do it now. And I like my paintings to wrap around. So I'm not gonna do the whole bottom. I'm gonna leave that white because that's where our snowman's gonna be. That's the neck of our snowman, see? So I'm gonna come aside of that and get that on there. Okay. I like to listen to Christmas music if I'm doing winter paintings. But if I do that, you won't be able to hear me, so we're not gonna do that. So ordinarily I'd let that dry and then flip it back. But in the essence of saving some time, in the interest of saving some time, turn it over right now, okay? And this would be a great time, let it dry, to get a cup of hot chocolate, to maybe, get up, walk around, get a snack while it dries. Luckily for me, I have this great little handy dandy heat tool. You could use a hair dryer if you wanted to. It makes a little noise, but I'm gonna try to rush through it. Because we're only working around here right now, I'm just going to dry around here and let that dry naturally. So give me a second. All right, well, I got into it, so I could as well just do a little bit over here, expedite it. Okay. So we're pretty good. Again, I just really want the outline to get done. Okay, enough of that. So it's dry now. I can never tell if it's dry when I go like this because I already have paint on my hand. Yep, up. Well, it wasn't that far, huh? Oh, and now I'm making it worse, but I'm gonna show you how to fix that. Okay, so we're gonna get our paint on there now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my medium-sized brush to go in and around. By the way, I washed my black brush and I dried it. And now I'm just gonna take my medium brush and come on the outsides, okay? And look, I'm gonna go over the black a little bit because it almost gives it a type of shadow. So I want that, I wanna go over it. I love the way that blue looks there. I can see with the, on camera. Now it's not as bright as the camera is making it show because I do have a light behind it. I'll put a little white on there to clean that up. If I put a little white on a spot where I made a mistake, just dab it, don't drag it around, okay? I'll let that dry. I can go back to it and do it again. Okay. So with our large brush, we covered a massive amount. Didn't have a lot of control. With our medium brush, we have a little bit more control, but a little less coverage. And of course, with our smallest brush, lots of control, but minimal coverage. Okay. So I kind of like that black there. If you don't, you can be a purist and just go make it exact. Don't have to have any black on there, the black and the blue, however you want to call it. Kind of gives you a gray, because you know if you mix black and white, you get gray. I'm just going to rinse out my brush. Put it on the paper towel, get some of the excess water out, and then go back and get more of my white, okay? People say, well, why, you know, if you're painting it white, it's already white, because I like to have everything consistent. I don't want it to look like there's naked canvas, okay? I'll put a little dollop on that. Remember I made that little mistake there? So yeah, I am gonna paint it. At this point, if you want to use your large brush, make sure that it's washed out really, really well. You can do that. I don't want to get up and leave my station right now to wash out my black brush. I rinsed it out. I didn't wash it out. So I want to make sure that the water is going to run clean when I use my black brush again. Because again, you don't want it to, you know, muddy up what you're doing right now. So that's why we take care of our brushes, our tools. You know, these are our tools. You take care of them, they'll take care of you. That's something I always say because it's true. And that's with any tools. I like to do construction, so I make sure my saw blades are nice and sharp and taken care of, and you know, that my hammers are where they're supposed to be, my nails are where they're supposed to be, the batteries to my electric, you know, battery operated saws and drills, they're always charged up, ready to roll. So like I said, take care of your stuff. It takes 2 seconds, and in the long run, it's going to save you a fortune. I've seen so many people not care for their brushes, and they're constantly buying brushes. And they can get kind of costly. I know you don't believe it, but yeah. I saw a brush for $278. I was like, yeah, not my $278, because, you know, just not happening. Not in my wheelhouse. I don't need a brush that costs that amount of money. So I'm gonna just, again, use my hair dryer, my heat gun, just to get that part done. Okay, so, you know, when you see me take out my heat gun, you're welcome to fast forward. I mean, by all means, okay? So now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check in here. Yep, this was a little, you know, there was a little bit of black on there, and it was a little bit too strong. We'll go over that with my white again. But you see how I had to dry it up first? Otherwise, it would have just, you know, been muddy again. But I do like how it comes through. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put down my white, and I'm going to take my yellow paint, and my red paint. And I'm gonna take a little bit. Now I'm not gonna pour it because we saw how much came out before when I poured it. I'm going to use, a popsicle stick. You can use whatever you'd like to just get a little bit out of here. If you're ever using the color just directly, you can go directly from the pot, but because we're blending, I'm going to just take a dollop. Also, it'll save you some paint. Put that there, way much. We'll never use that amount, okay? And I'm going to grab, and the great thing about these popsicle sticks, 2 sides. So I'm gonna take a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red, and put that right next to it. We always put our colors next to each other, not on top. Reason being is if I put too much of one color, then I gotta add more of the other color, and you can end up with so much paint that you just don't need. And by doing it this way, we save a little bit, and we're able to just, be economical with our paint so we have more for later. So again, just like we did with the black and the blue, a little bit of yellow there, a little bit of red there, and I'm gonna blend it. Okay, that's kind of yellowy for me. A little bit more red. Except I know I'm gonna need a little bit more. I mean, it's not a tremendous carrot, but I'm just gonna blend that in there. Okay, now for the first coat, I am actually gonna blend it really well. It's okay if there's some, dollops of one color or the other, that's perfectly okay. And what I'm gonna do is, remember I started down here, I'm gonna round this. Okay, why did I round that? Because we are looking sideways, we're not looking dead on, because then it would just look like a dot. And we're going to, see again, make sure this is dry. I use my pinky for leverage, and I'm just gonna come in here. And paint it in. And it's okay if it goes over the black, that's fine. You know you're gonna get exact paint right on top of it. Now, if I were to paint the whole canvas black, let's say, okay? I would have gone back, painted my snowman in, painted my carrot in white, okay? To go over the black, because we wanna have a white base. So that's why we did it this way. It's a lot easier, a lot less work, a lot less stress of trying to get that coverage, because it's not easy to cover over the black, especially with white. That's why whenever you see me make outlines, I'll use a light color, a blue or a light yellow, because we just want an idea of where everything's going to be. It's not a matter of painting it in, and we just want to know where we're putting stuff. And we want to be able to cover it over when we're ready. Okay, so I'm just filling this in. I like to use my small brush for this. I don't know if I said that already. Because again, a lot more control. Okay, let that dry up a little bit. The reason we let it dry a wee bit before we put the next coat on is because sometimes when you put more paint on, you're pulling paint off. And again, you want that coverage. So this is really that amount, because I didn't glob, and that's a technical term, guys. I didn't glop my paint on there. Thin coats. Many thin coats is always better than a lot of thick coats. And that's with ceramics, that's with doing stencils and palette signs. Always so much easier if you do just a thin coat. So I'm gonna add a little bit more, make a little bit more paint. Okay. And I don't know if I'm gonna mix it all in. Haven't decided yet. That's the great thing about painting. You don't have to decide everything right away, okay? So I have that yellow and red there. See, it's not exactly 100% blended, so you get some movement. You get some red here. See, there's like a little red striation there. Pull up some more. orange in there. Like I said, don't worry about if you go over the black. The white you won't even see if you go over it because it's white. Okay. Believe it or not, folks, we're almost done. And you can just keep adding as much as you like. So that's our carrot. Now what I'm gonna do, like I said, is I'm gonna take a little bit more red here. Okay, a little more red. Mix it in there with that yellow. You know how carrots have that, like those lines going around it? I'm gonna twirl my brush. Notice if I twirl my brush, I get a nice sharp point. And I'm just gonna make these, see how they're swooping? They're curved, they're not straight lines, okay? And some are on that side, this way. Some are coming from this side. And again, I'm just gonna bring it a little bit closer so you can see it. Okay, you see how that is on there? I know it looks very drastic up close. It really isn't, it's quite subtle. But again, this is your painting. You can make it as drastic or as subtle as you'd like. And then maybe some more coming from this side. And because it has more red in it, even though it's still orange, you can see the difference because it is heavier on one color. You can also use a marker if you want to do like a black line. I'll show you that. Okay, I think I need another one down here, coming up from here. Okay, so that kind of gives me my guy there. And again, just do that little line there. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I always say that and then I go back, right? I'm happy with the way my nose looks. So again, going to take my brush, rinse it out in water. And I always like to have at least 2 cups of water, and I'll show you why. Because cleaning out my orange brush, nice and clean. When I put my, this is the water I have from when I put my black brush in here, right? Take that out really well. But because I have it in the water and it's black, I used it first. I think if I was to go ahead and use my white brush in there and clean it, it may pick up some of the black water. So what I do is I have a water station, as I call it, with at least 2 cups of water. Because this way when I clean out my white brush, right? Chances are it's not gonna have any of that gray or the black in there. Of course, if you have the opportunity to get up and clean your brushes immediately, that would be fabulous. We really don't wanna leave our brushes in the water if we can help it. So now, what we're gonna do here is we can go ahead and do our face. And what I'm gonna do with that is, where did I put my brush? Yep, up there it is. Sometimes things get a little bit confused. I'm going to take my fine line brush and just decide where I want to put things, okay? I think what we're going to do first though is we're going to do our wording, because we're going to do our wording with our thin brush, and I'd rather use it first with white and then with black as opposed to the other way around, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to decide what we want to write. There's Snowplace like home. There's Snowplace like my home or our home. There's Snowplace like the Smith home. Whatever you want to write. But what I do is I take a pencil, okay, to get an idea of where I'm going to put my wording. And it's okay to write on the paint because it's dry, first of all. And second of all, with our pencil, we're really going to know where our words are going to go, okay? If it's too far to the left, too far to the right, we can always paint over that and then start again. So it's kind of like having an eraser, but we use paint instead. So I think on this one, I'm going to write I've got my T on there. And I know it's very difficult for you to see, but I'll show it to you. See? And of course, please make sure that it's dry. But you know, we did this so much earlier. I know it's dry, plus I had a little bit of a time with my blow dryer. So I'm gonna write there, and I'm gonna use the top of my T to start my H and finish it at the bottom of my T. Okay, then I'm gonna go here, put my E to the top of my H. There is snow place like my home. I'm gonna do nice and big. And you know what? Maybe I'll make my O in home into a heart. Okay, because the heart of the home. And I am the queen of the exclamation point. Okay, so I'm gonna bring it a little bit closer so you can see it. There is no place like home. Okay, so now I can go back and I can paint that in. I'm gonna show you a few extra little secrets on that, how to make it look really, you know, professional and intentional. Because, you know, this is not a stencil, this is your handwriting, and I love that part. Okay, so, excuse me. I'm gonna take my white. I don't have to put it on my palette because I'm just using white. It's a clean brush, not stressing, okay? Now, especially if you're working flat, okay? You wanna start painting up here and work your way down. Because let's say you're home and it's flat on the table, you put the home in and then your hand goes up. You don't want that. So these are just little tricks to make sure, to ensure success. So let me just get my brush. And again, I'm using my pinky for the leverage there. And make sure you really load up your brush so it doesn't go dry in the middle of a letter. There. Here we go. And I like it, you know, I like, especially if kids are doing this, I like to see their handwriting. I like to see how things progress later on. And, you know, it really puts a part of them into it. There, we're getting there. But you see, after each letter, I am loading up my brush. Actually, sometimes in the middle of a letter, I load up my brush. Okay. I like the whole word, there is. You could put theirs, but I liked. Okay, it's not of a slant, but again, I'm sideways, I'm not in front of the canvas, so I can, but again, it's okay, right? And then I'll come back over here, loaded up my brush. And sometimes you can't do it the same way you would use a pencil, so I'm gonna come over here and meet it. You can be dramatic and make all the letters different sizes. That's fine too. What do you think so far? Okay. Okay, again, if your brush starts to get a little full, again, do that twist, that twirl in your paint, and you get that nice sharp edge, okay? Just a little reminder there. And you know, that blue in there, I'm really liking it. It's very subtle. You really can barely see it, but you can tell. Gave it a little bit more life in the background, as opposed to just a flat color. Okay. And it's so funny because I'm doing the lettering and I'm not exactly on top of the letter because I didn't give enough room for my painting, but that's still okay because you can still tell. Snowplace like home. And we did do a nice heart here for our O. Okay, now you can fill that in. You can leave it like that. It's completely up to you. You know what I think I'm gonna do? I think I'm gonna fill mine in. And I'll show you why in a minute, okay? I'm gonna fill it in. Because this way, if I wanna paint over it, I'll be able to see the color. So I think I'm gonna do that. Because there's not a lot of colors going on in our painting, you know? But by doing that now, I can go over it in a little bit, okay? I'll finish my lettering. And when I'm done, I'll show you my one that I did a while back. And you'll see the difference. You'll see how they morph, so to speak, how they become something new. Because even, you know, the same artist can do the same painting, it's never going to come out exact. I don't care who says it will, unless you're doing it over and over, and that's kind of boring. I want to do, you know, I want to do different things. There's so much painting out there to do, okay? So that's their Snowplace like home. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the wrong side of my brush. I know you guys have seen me do this before, and I'm going to make little dots. Okay, so I'm going to load it up and I'm going to let it dry, because remember how I just said, you know, you don't want to work your way into it. So, you know, maybe you can, again, just okay. And again, you never want to get too close. You don't want the paint to bubble up or burn off, for that matter. So I'm taking my brush, the wrong side, I shouldn't say the wrong side, the unbristled side, and I'm loading it up with paint, okay? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these little dots on the edges of my brush, or the edges of my letters. I'm sure if you've gone to craft shows, you've seen people do personalized stuff, and they always do this because it gives it a little bit more of an animated look. And when we do our snowflakes, it's really going to tie in. Okay. And again, using my thumb, my pinky, I'm going to make sure first that it's dry, which it is. And then I'm going to go up here and go here. And if you want to make it textural, you can really put a dollop on there and then leave it. You know, don't kind of mush it around. you can just go back, really load up your brush, and you see that little, you'll see a little point on there. I'll show you when we're done. Okay. And the little dot there. And you could turn over your brush, you know, use all the sides. A little bit more there on my E. And the thing is to start small, okay? Start with a dot like that. And then, you know, then go a little bit bigger. It's always better to do that than put a really big glop and you say, oh, I don't like that. Then you'd have to paint it black and start again, and we don't want to do that. Okay. So you see how I'm doing that? Kind of gives it a little bit more, like I said, that animated look, that look of intent, especially if your letters aren't even like mine. Again, I'm doing this sideways, so it tends to get a little difficult when you're, you know, kind of going downward. But I did ask Santa for an overhead tripod. We'll see what happens. I think I've been pretty nice this year. I haven't been naughty. So here on our S. It takes longer to do this part than it does to do the whole painting, I think. Okay. There we go. And you know, I could cut away and come back, but I like you to see the whole thing. Maybe you guys should let me know. In the comments, you could always say, nah, cut away when you get to that kind of stuff. Let me know. Take a poll. But for now, I want you guys, okay, so I'm going to the O. So I'm gonna do a dot up there. Let me get this up here. Load up my brush again. Okay. I'm putting a dot up here and a dot opposite down there. Because it wants to be part of the gang. It wants to be like all the other letters, you know. We don't want anybody to be left out. Okay. Then again, you could always fast forward. That's a great compromise. Excuse me. Believe it or not, it's November and I have allergies because we've had such amazing weather. It was in the 70s yesterday. The day, well, not yesterday, the day before. So I think it believed it was spring out there, so all the buds came back. Today it's kind of a dreary, rainy day out there. But the great thing about it is I'm in here painting. Doesn't get better than that. There's a connection there. Okay, our L. Top of our A. Bottom of our A. Yeah, I like to make everybody happy. It's a blessing and a curse. But I'll do all this and you can watch it, or like I said, you guys can fast forward. I will not be offended. Okay, see how it's coming along? And you can always practice your lettering on a piece of paper to get an idea. I think if you do it once on paper and then put it onto the painting, it'll come out a little bit more consistent. Me, I'm winging it here, guys, because I want you to see that it's okay. There are different sizes, what have you. Okay. There we go. A nice big. Do you know what this is? What I'm putting up here now? The top of the I, the top of a J. I'll let you think about it before I give you the answer. Okay? And it's going to be one of those things you will never forget all of your life. Do some more of my letters. You can Google it if you want, but I'm going to tell you anyway in a little bit. My mom was the smartest person I ever knew. I'm talking she was a reader, that's why, you know. She read everything she could get her hands on. She could read like 4 or 5 books at a time and keep them all straight, which I always found fascinating. But because she read so much, she had such a knowledge. Because reading is fundamental. Okay. Almost there, folks. Okay. Get that on there. And you know what happens is that your paint starts to creep up the handle. So I come back in here and pull it off. That there. Of course, the top of our exclamation point, the bottom of our exclamation point, and then that big old circle on the bottom of our exclamation point. Okay, so there's my wording. So right here, that top of the I, that is known as a tittle, T-I-T-T-L-E. It's also found on the top of the lowercase j. And as soon as I get my wording over here, I'm gonna give you another hint, give you another fun fact, because I love fun facts. Now, what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna check to just dry that up a little bit. Again, I'm just doing this so that I can just move forward. And I'm not even doing too much of it. Basically, I just want that heart to be done. Because I think we're gonna paint that pink. I think that'll be fun. It'll match the our cheek. So how do we make pink? Okay, it's red and white. But you see how, remember, I didn't put the colors on top of each other, so I have all this red here that I'm gonna be able to use. Okay, let's go rinse out the brush. All right. Okay, and because I had the white on my brush, I'm gonna go and take some of the white right off my lid with that brush. I don't need to use the, I rinsed off the pink, by the way, the red before I did this. So I'm gonna put that there because you don't want to muddy up your paint. So I didn't need to use the stick to get the paint down, okay? So now I'm going to grab some of the red, bring it over here, and grab some of the white. And we're gonna blend it. And you can make it as dark a pink or as light a pink as you want because it's your painting, right? You're not making a carbon copy of mine, you're making your own. I kind of like that. Oh, I like that a lot. So I'm going to use this right now, okay? And I'm going to come over from my carrot down a little bit. Not, well, you can go sideways, just kind of in line there. You don't want it too far down, too far up, but I'm going to make it around where my carrot is. And I'm just going to make a circle. Okay, that's it. And I'm going to fill it in. Has kind of a bubble gum quality to it. But remember, we don't have a lot of color going on, so this is kind of a nice little pop of color to have on our canvas. Okay, got that? While I still have some pink, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to come over to my heart. And I'm not going to go the whole thing. I'm just going to come in. Remember where our original line was? Maybe I'll leave that as an outline. You don't have to. You can color the whole thing. But I think I'm going to leave that kind of as an outline. And cover in. What do you think of that? So it kind of draws your eye to that as well. Again, you can color the whole thing in. I chose to leave an outline there. Okay. And I'm again just going to give it a little bit more. Okay, I like that. Next we're going to do our little eyes. And we're going to kind of do it the same way that we did the tops of our letters. But instead of using my small brush, which is what we used, I'm going to use my bigger brush, okay? So let me just grab that. Use my bigger brush. I'm going to grab some black, right? Again, using the opposite side of the brush, not the bristle side, and I'm going to do some circles. Now the reason I'm not using the bristle side is because the bristles kind of go out and around. This actually gives me a little bit more control, believe it or not. So I'm just going to come in here and do this one too, right next to it. And remember, they don't have to be, again, perfectly circled. These may be coal, you know, coal briquettes. You know, again, something you guys have to look up. Okay, so I like that. And I'm gonna blow on that pink. Okay, there's a reason I'm blowing on the pink, because I want to put my mouth in there, but my mouth is going to go right up into that. So I don't want to fuss with it yet, okay? You can decide if you like your eyes that size. You can make them larger. Here's another, I'll show you a little trick. Again, lots of tricks. Okay, so I do want it a little bit larger and a little bit more of a teardrop. How appropriate, right? So I'll put that there, get my thin brush. So I can take my thin brush in my black, just a little bit of a thing, and I can do these kind of eyes. Again, making sure my hand is clean. So it kind of looks like an apostrophe. Okay? I'll bring it up a little bit. give you an idea. Now he looks kind of mean if you ask me there, but I'm gonna put the face on and we're gonna put a smile in there and it's gonna be fabulous, okay? So again, in the interest of time, okay, just gonna make sure that find a clean finger. Beautiful. Okay, that was done. So now I'm going to get my brush back, and the same way that we did our eyes with the non-bristle side of the brush, we're going to take it over here. Load it up just like we've been so far, you know, loading up our non-bristle side. And because I'm going to have it go into here, rather than start over here and have to meet it up, I'm better off starting in here. So put a nice big circle there. Grab some more paint. A nice big circle here. Now remember, this is your mouth. You don't want it the same size as your eyes necessarily. If it gets to be that, that's fine. It's your painting. I prefer to have them a little bit smaller. And like I said, I'm going to show you the other one I did many years ago, and you can decide. Actually, I think maybe I'll show you because what I do is I do the painting, and then I do the beginning of the video. So I show you what the finished product looks like. How am I assured that it looks exactly the same? Well, I do the painting first, and then I go back and videotape that part. I know, I'm giving away all my secrets today. Okay. Now we need it to curve upward. That's for sure. Because we want it to look happy. And I'm going to bring it right up to here because it's going to meet up with the other cheek where the blush is on the other side. Okay, so right now we're basically done, except it's wintertime. Obviously, if we can make a snowman, it is wintertime. Unless you're in Australia, then it's summertime. But I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. We're going to make snow. Well, how are we going to make snow? The same way we made all our other dots, okay? And what are we going to use? We're going to use the white. Let me just grab my white. And we're going to use both of our brushes, actually. Let me get the white paint as opposed to the lid. It's getting dry, okay? So, again, my white, I don't need to put it on the plate with the wrong side of my brush. I did use this for black, so I did clean it off really well. And this is how we're going to make our snow. Like that. I make my stars and my night sky like this as well. Okay? And if I'm doing it on the front of the canvas, what am I going to say? That I'm doing it on the top, the sides, and the bottom as well. You can make as many snowflakes as you'd like. You can do as few as you like. You don't have to do any, but I think it does add another level of interest to our painting. So I would want to have a few more. Again, you don't need tons of them to get your point across. Okay. And again, making them a little textured if you wanted to. Now I said I was going to bring out my other brush, but I'm not going to. I'm going to show you a way to do it with this one. How you doing, guys? You like that? Do some in the middle of my wording. Don't want to get confused. That is part of the letters. But what you can do is just take this tiniest little bit if you want a smaller one. See that? Barely, right? Barely, because it's that tiny. But that's up to you. And now I'm going to show you, I lean my arm against my forearm of my other hand, of my other arm, just again to give you that stability. I don't want big ones, I want little ones. Okay, because I like it like that. I think I'm going to just have a few more over here, just to kind of even it off. And I'll do the ones on my side. Look, I don't have to look. I know they're there. And like I said before, I like to have paint on the canvas. So the bottom of my snowman, remember I left the bottom, the neck, clean. I'm gonna go in there and put my white paint. I want the neck done as well. These are the kind of little things that would drive me crazy if I didn't actually do it, okay? So my friends, this is our snowman. There is Snowplace like home, okay? Also, by writing it out, you're not gonna miss a word. I've done that in the, trust me, I've done that. There's snow like home. I forgot to put the word place in or what have you. So by doing it again with the pencil, you're set. All right, I hope you enjoyed making our fun little friend here. And let me just grab my remote so we can finish up this video. So I thought we were finished until I looked at it and I realized this snowman looks kind of sinister. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my small brush, right? And I'm gonna fix the eyes. Okay? We don't have to close in the whole thing. Let's see how that looks. Otherwise, we'll just close in the whole thing. But again, let me see. Hold on, gotta swing it around. See, to me. Oh, so much better, right? Don't you think so? I think so. So again, I just wanted to fix that in there. Again, we could have done the whole thing inside, that's fine. Also, if you wanted to outline your nose, you can do that too, but I like it the way it is. I'm much happier now with the eyes, I gotta be honest with you, because that was bothering me. So now we're done. Well, I hope you enjoyed painting our snowman as much as I did. Now remember, it has a face, so you have to give it a name and a backstory and all that fun stuff. Till we see each other again, be blessed, be safe, and remember, art is everything.